If you clicked on this video going, what on earth is this? I'm with you because I felt the same. Did you know that there's a whole category of interview questions that you probably haven't prepared for? And those are COVID-related interview questions. Now bear with me. Given the unprecedented year that we've had, it's unsurprising that employers want to understand how employees have handled work in remote conditions and how they've handled maybe being out of work during the pandemic. So if you're interviewing this year, you should absolutely expect some really unique questions. I came across a report by Fast Company on LinkedIn, which outlined 8 of the most common pandemic-related questions that you can expect in interviews. And I'm not going to lie, some of them were quite tricky, and it's best to be prepared before you go in. So if you're preparing for your interviews, make sure you have a look and you've prepared a good answer for some of these questions as well. Hey there and welcome back to my channel. My name's Eva and I'm a career coach and customer success director on a mission to help people build meaningful careers. I've got new career videos every Friday, so don't forget to subscribe to make sure that you are notified every time there's a new video. So if you are interviewing right now in the middle of the pandemic, honestly, some of the questions that I've seen feel like they're kicking people when they're down. And I know it's incredibly tough, and I hope that you'll find these questions really helpful prompt to help you prepare and smash your next interviews. So without further ado, let's get into 8 of the most common COVID-related interview questions. Question 1. How did your company communicate and manage employees during the pandemic? And here you should be honest with your assessment and give some details of whether your company did well or not so well. Now, most companies were not that used to immediately transitioning to fully remote, so there probably was some room for improvement. So you can either say that your company did really well, or if you say there was room for improvement, you should be prepared for the follow-up question, which is, what did you do to take ownership? And this is a great opportunity to show what you can bring to the table, and absolutely show, don't tell. So don't just say you took ownership, actually give some examples. So it may be that you said you didn't feel as close and connected to your team. So it may be that you started off a team huddle that happened at 8:50 and you all got a cup of tea in the morning together and everyone was able to join and just talk about their day and feel more closely connected to the team. So that could be an example of where you took ownership, but it's super easy to just complain. What they're looking for here is someone who takes initiative. Question 2, were you afraid of losing your job? And this question felt really below the belt when I first saw it, so I think it's really important to be prepared for it. And the good news is it transitions into a question that you'll probably be quite familiar with answering. So you might think they're asking this because it's the employees who were maybe not that good who would be the first to go. So if you're worried, it means you know you weren't doing that good a job. But if we're serious about it, almost every single business owner was terrified of their business being in trouble due to the pandemic because the world had shut down. So I think it's absolutely okay to say, of course you were worried about losing your job. Weren't most people, weren't most businesses. So kind of deflect that aspect because I think in part it's a ridiculous question. Now be prepared for the follow-up to that, which is, if you were worried about losing your job but your company took care of you, why are you leaving them now? So again, they're almost trying to test your loyalty. So you don't want to go into, yes, I'm very loyal, because ultimately you can still be a loyal person and do a good job while you're there. But really, this is the same as answering the question, why are you leaving your previous job? And that is simply that you want more of what the new job has to offer. So flip it back and just bring it into what this new job has to offer that your previous job didn't offer, and know that you will add value wherever you go. So really frame it in that way. Question number 3, what did you do when you were laid off? And if you were laid off during the pandemic, it's really tough. So great work for getting back out there and looking for new work. And I guess this is the same question if you have gaps on your CV or if you were made redundant. They really just want to see, what initiative did you take? Everyone probably wallows and watches Netflix and doesn't get out of bed for a couple of days because it's crushing and it's been incredibly stressful to keep up with life this year. But ultimately just show that you did something practical with your time. So whether that was some volunteering, whether that was growing your network, whether that's picking up some new skills, and bonus points if you can add some of the certifications certifications or qualifications or courses that you completed in your CV as well that you can talk through. So just explain that you took some initiative. Don't tell them about lying in bed all day in your pajamas. They just want to hear about what did you do next. Question number 4, what are your preferred methods of communication for remote working? And again, this is a trick question because they're really just trying to understand what competency and familiarity do you have with different remote working tools. So mention the actual tools, everything that you've used. So whether you've used Microsoft Teams or Google Hangouts or Slack, any tools that you use to communicate effectively with your colleagues or even with your friends if you haven't done that before, that's great. Just mention the tools that you're aware of and which ones you're more comfortable with. Also, I know for a fact that my answer to this question has changed because of the way that we're communicating now. So my preferred method of communication used to be pick up the phone, have a conversation with someone, talk it out, but you can't really do that anymore because people don't have company phones normally and they are just used to doing everything through video calls that are scheduled in and put into their diary. So you have to adjust your new ways of communicating. So think about making sure that you fit in with whatever that company culture is if you have an idea. Cut to COVID related 10-second dance break. Question 5, did you have any remote working experience prior to the pandemic? And the reason for this question is actually when the pandemic struck, these workers who had experience working remotely more full time, so not just 1 or 2 days a week from home, actually had this whole set of skills that companies leveraged as a wealth of information to just use so that they can adapt their businesses and their ways of communicating. So I think working effectively remotely, although a lot of people have done this now, being able to do that effectively and do that really well and keep a team motivated and engaged is actually a new skill set. So this is really what they're looking for and trying to understand. Question number 6, what do you do differently now? And I love this question because all they're looking for is a level of self-awareness and how you adapt to your new situation. So really any answer can be turned into a really great one. Just think about how did you start working during the pandemic? What did you learn and what did you start doing differently? So it could be that, you'd wake up in the morning, have your breakfast and then just get straight to work. But then you discovered that the commute actually helped wake you up and get your head in the right space. So maybe you've now started taking a quick walk before you get started and going into work. Or maybe it's that you finish work a little bit later because you're more productive at a certain time of the day. There are so many answers that would work here. Just talk about something you've learned and some way in which you've adjusted your ways of working. Question number 7, how do you clock out? And this year, businesses have become increasingly sensitive to employee well-being because no one wants an employee that's going to burn out. So if you have had, your foot on the gas going 100 miles an hour because you're just trying to get through this stage, that is just the early signs of an employee that's going to burn out. So they really want to see that, yes, although the business is going to put into place all these ways to help and support your well-being, it is also up to the individual to take advantage of these. So find whatever it is works for you, but you need to show some way that you are able to detach from work and take responsibility for your own well-being as well. So this could be anything from taking a little walk before or after work, having an exercise class that's right after work so then you know that that's when you stop. Maybe it's taking a longer lunch so you can have lunch with your kids. Whatever it is that helps you to detach from work and make sure that you maintain your well-being in order to bring your best self to your job will be a good answer here. Question number 8. What makes you excited to get up in the morning? And this is another really tough one because sometimes the case is, nothing gets me excited. Every day has been exactly the same and it feels like we're just stuck on this autopilot and in a bit of a daze. Obviously that's not what you say in your interview. People are looking for someone that will eventually, be resilient and try and find some meaning and purpose in what they do. So again, a broad range of answers are really acceptable here, but find something, whatever small thing it is that will really excite you about your work. So in my case, I manage a team. So the thing that gets me up is that actually I have these amazing amazing people who will do great work, and I'm really inspired to help them with their careers. So, that's my answer. I know a colleague of mine used to say, the job is exhausting, but I love my clients, and I'm so motivated by this job because I want to help them do well, and I've got great clients. So find something that's within your role that you can be excited about, and within the new role that you're applying for, that you can apply to this answer. So find something in the role that gets you excited. So there you have it, 8 common COVID-related questions that could come up in your interviews. I'd love to hear in the comments what you thought of these. Did you get any questions like these, or any other questions that I haven't listed here? Will be really helpful to help everybody prepare. So best of luck with your interviews, and I hope you are much better prepared and ace them. Thanks for watching.